For those of you who would like to reach us, you can reach us by 800-592-8213. 800-592-8213 is our contact phone number. Repeat after me. Yah, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary, Yah, for you. One more time. Yah, prepare me to be a living sanctuary, tried and true, pure and holy, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary, Yah, for you. Give Almighty Yah a hand clap praise. I am expecting others to be out this morning as well. I am expecting others to be out with us this morning as well. According to the word that they gave me. But this morning I'm going to speak with you about nations. Nations. I'm going to speak with you this morning about nations. Who knows what a nation is? A nation is a group of people who share the same customs and culture and languages, right? That is what makes up a nation. And a nation is always defined by the patriarch or by the father. Let me see. I'm just going to read Matthew 12 and 37. Matthew 12 and 37. Before I get into my lesson, it says, "For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." Matthew 12 and 37 says, by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be what? Condemned. And the previous verse, Matthew 12:36 says, "But I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. But I say unto you, every idle word." What is the idle mean? Idle. Something that's idle.
You ain't moving.
Something that's idle is something that's like an idle mind. An idle mind is the devil's what? Workshop. I'm a little hot back here, brother. Please turn those fans on. An idle mind is the devil's workshop, right? So Matthew 12 and 36 says, and this is Hamashiach, whom the world called Jesus the Christ. It has that heat on, elder. It says that every idle word. So an idle word is a word that's not being what? What is an idle word? An idle word is something that people say but don't what? They don't do. Hello? An idle word is something that people say but that they don't do. Matthew 12:37 says, "For by thy words thou shalt be what? Justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." We live in a generation today where people are not, they don't mean what they say. They do the opposite of what they say. Y'all hear me? I've had quite a few people tell me, "Brother, I'm coming to Shabbat." I've had quite a few people tell me, "Oh, I'm coming to Shabbat," and they gave their word. But their word is an idle word. You hear me? Their word is an idle word. And what does Matthew 12:37 says? "By thy words thou shalt be justified." I wish I had a good reader this morning. "And by thy words thou shalt be what? Condemned." Let your what? Yea be yea, let your nay be what? We have a lot of people who speak a lot of good words on the internet, who post a lot of scriptures on the internet, who will tell you Shabbat Shalom on the internet all day, but don't show up to a public assembly like the scriptures say do, right? And then when you call them about it, they don't want to answer the phone. When you call them about it, they don't want to answer the phone. What does that tell you? That says a lot about a person's character, right? Come here, brother. Because we don't want nobody lying to us, but do you lie to people? Do you lie to people? Hallelujah. Okay. Come here, brother. Let's get on to the business of nation. But the Most High going to hold you to every idle word that you speak to your brother or whoever you speak it to, and you don't fulfill it. Hallelujah. Now I want to speak this morning with you about nations. Nations. Turn to Acts 17th chapter. Acts the 17th chapter. You know, in the streets, people will call you in on your word, won't they? Let's turn to Acts 17th chapter. We're going to speak this morning about nations. And like I said, nations is defined as a group of people who share the same custom, language, and things of those along those lines. Acts 17th chapter, the 26th to the 28th verse. Acts the 17th chapter, the 26th to the 28th verse reads, "And he has made from one what? Blood every what? Nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth. Right? Acts 17 chapter 26 through the 28th verse. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell, every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times. I just want to focus briefly on that first portion of this verse. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth. So we're going to find out what is that one blood that we all come from. Because the whole human race derived from what? One blood. Y'all hear me? The whole human race derived from one blood. And the second portion of the verse says, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwelling. And has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their what? Dwellings. Okay, so all nations that exist in the earth, they come from one blood. Let's find out what one blood we all derive from. Let's turn our attention to Genesis, the first chapter. What one blood did all nations derive from? Come from? What one blood did the whole human race come from? We're going to find out in Genesis 1 and 26. What one blood? Because we can say that through the process of elimination, that Israel as a nation is above the other nations, right? Through the process of elimination, through the process of excluding the other nations, right? Okay. Genesis 1 and 26. And it reads, and Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female. Let me read that right. Genesis 1 and 27. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. Okay. So, when Paul was saying that from one blood came all nations, he was referring to who? He was referring to Adam. If you didn't come from Adam, then you are what? You are alien. If you are in the earth and you didn't come from the lineage of the blood of Adam, then you got to be from outer space or, not a part of the human race. Right? When it says, let us make man, in Adam, Elohim made what? Mankind. In Adam, Elohim made the human race. In Adam, Elohim, or God, made the nations. So, if all nations derive from one blood, if the whole human race derived from one blood, then how did we end up divided as a human race by nationality? And what is a nationality? If somebody asks you, what is your nationality, what does that imply? What does that imply? That implies what nation you are what? What nation you are from. That's what it implies. Okay, moving on to Genesis, the 11th chapter. Genesis, the 11th chapter. So the whole human race came from one blood. That was Adam. And the whole human race came from Adam and Noah, 3 sons, Japheth, Ham, and what's the other one name? Shem. We can't forget Shem, right? Because without Shem, you don't have Israelites. All right? Genesis 11th chapter, 1st through the 9th verse. Let's find out how did the whole human race end up becoming divided as nations. Let's find that out, okay? And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Genesis 11th chapter, reading from the first verse. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. Thank you, elder. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. Now, be mindful of the first verse. And the whole earth was of what? The whole earth was of what? One language. Y'all see that? At one time, the whole earth was of one language, meaning everybody spoke the same language. There was no difference between, there was no language difference. Everybody spoke the same language. Fourth verse, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. The 5th verse, and the Most High came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men what? Build. 6th verse, and the Most High said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, right? And this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Y'all see that? Sixth verse says, behold, the people is one. So at one time in human history, all humanity was uno, one for Spanish. All humanity was what? United. You know, and United Nations trying to get everybody to unite as one people, one human race again. But they're trying to do it without being in submission to the will of the Most High in Hamashiach, in the world called Christ. So be careful when they are talking about unity. You understand? By what principles are we going to unify under? Okay? Because some people want the whole human race to unify under a secular, non-believing, atheistic system. You understand? So be careful, be mindful when the world try to get you to unite under something else that will cause you to compromise your principles as a disciple of Hamashiach in the world called Christ. Okay. 7th verse. Go to, let us go down. And there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. The 6th verse, let me back it up. And the Most High said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Y'all see that? So the people was united as a human race, but they was outside the will of the scriptures. Y'all see that? Why was they outside the will of the scriptures? They was outside the will of the scriptures because they was trying to make a name great for themselves. In other words, they was trying to glorify themselves without acknowledging their Creator. And the Most High, He has a problem with that, right? Because He created us as a human race to glorify Him, not for us to boast and to glorify ourselves. They said, come, let us make a name for ourselves. We're going to make a name for ourselves. We're going to be great by our own works. But that displeased the Most High. And that's what they're trying to do today through the United Nations. You know, the United Nations is an organization. They do a lot of good humanitarian work, you understand? But their motive is wrong in why they want to unite the nations. You understand? They have some good principles in their declaration, but their motive is simply wrong. Because they want to unite the nations under a secular, atheist system that does not acknowledge the divine creator, who we know of as Yah Elohim. Hallelujah. Okay, so the Most High came down, he saw what they was doing, and the Most High was offended. Why was the Most High offended? Because he's like, y'all should be giving me glory and not glorifying yourself. In other words, the Most High created the human race for himself, not for themselves. Uh-oh. That's like saying, well, he brought our forefathers out of Egypt for them just to go and do what they want to do. No, I didn't bring you out of Egypt so you can go and do what you want to do. He told Moses, bring the people out of Egypt and bring them to Mount Sinai so they can worship me, so that I can give them these laws and statutes, so they can be as I am. Be holy even as Yah is what? Holy. That's why he brought them out. A lot of people think that they get saved just for themselves, but the Most High, he saves you so he can use you for his glory. He brought our forefathers out of Egypt and used them for his glory. He created the human race to glorify himself. And if you see that the human race is glorifying themselves instead of him, well, we're going to find out why he confused their language. Let's see. 7th verse, go to, let us go down and there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. The 8th verse, so the Most High scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they stopped building the city. 9th verse, therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Most High did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Most High scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So, the Most High divided the human races by, the Most High divided the human race by what? Languages. So, nation or nationality does not have anything to do with your, what? Pigmentation or your skin color. Did it say that he divided the people by their pigmentation or their skin color? It says he divided the people by their what? Languages. That's how he divided the people. So we're not talking color here. We're not talking about skin pigmentation here. You understand? Here in the United States of America, we think a nation is defined by what? Skin color. Just because a person have melanin in their skin doesn't mean that they are so-called black. Because if that person's mother is black, but if his father is white, although he looked black, he is what, Dominique? He's white. So if you spoke French, you went with the French. If you spoke Hebrew, you went with everybody that spoke Hebrew. If you spoke Swahili, you went with everybody that spoke Swahili. If you spoke Aramaic, you went with everybody that spoke Aramaic. Okay? And when they separated to that portion of the earth, they divided by common language. He set their boundaries. But the ninth verse says, for the Most High's portion is his what? His people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So the Most High, he created all the nations of the human race. Let's go to Genesis 10th chapter. Genesis 10th chapter is usually considered the table of nations chapter. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, and Ham. Excuse me. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Unto them were sons born after the flood. Now when you read through this chapter, Genesis 10th chapter, you will see that the Most High is separating people throughout the face of the earth to certain portions of the earth. You understand? Now, let's go to Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter. I won't be long, but I will be Torah strong. I won't be long, but I will be Torah strong. Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter, the 18th through the 19th verses. And it reads, and the Most High had avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people, as he had promised thee, that thou shouldest keep all his commandments, and to make thee high above all nations, which he had what? Made. In praise and in name and in honor, that thou mayest be holy, being holy people unto the Most High, the Elohim, as he has spoken. So, the 19th verse in Deuteronomy and the 26th verse is saying, and the Most High made all nations, right? He made all nations, but he's saying right here, that he made one nation to be above all the other nations. Y'all see that? The Most High made all nations, but he didn't make all nations to be equal to one another. We live in a society today in America where we hear so much about equality, right? We hear so much about equality. We hear a lot about equality among the nations within the United States of America. We would think that simply because we live in the United States of America, we would think that we are all of the same nation, right? But the United States of America is made of multiple nationalities, multiple nations. Although you live in the same country with Chinese Americans, Japanese Americans, Arab Americans, you are not of the same nation as them. We, as the biblical descendants of the Israelites of the Bible, we are what? We are a nation within a nation. The Native Americans, they don't call themselves citizens of the United States of America, do they? When they talk about the Native Americans, they call themselves after their what? They call it, the Native Americans are recognized in America as a nation. The Choctaw Nation. You know, they wasn't fighting for civil rights. They fought to be recognized as a nation because that is what they was and still is today, but that's who they was when the Europeans came over here and colonized North America. They were a nation then, so even after they had been conquered by the Europeans, they still, to this day, they fought to be legally recognized for who they was before they was colonized by the Europeans. That is, as a nation. You understand? And we hear so much about equality. But the one who created all nations has the right to make a difference in the nations that he created, right? The scripture says that in Deuteronomy in the 32nd chapter, he says that, but his lot is Jacob. From Jacob come the 12 tribes. 12 sons, excuse me. And from Jacob's 12 sons come 12 tribes. And from the 12 tribes, we have Israel. So Jacob is the father of the Israelite nation. You know, kind of like they call George Washington the father of the United States of America, right? You know, because he fought for this, he led the American Revolution. But for his people, he didn't lead the American Revolution for you and I, because we were still in chattel slavery, even after they had defeated the British. Okay. But so through the process of elimination, the Most High, he said, I made all nations, but I'm not making all nations to be equal to one another. There's going to be one nation that's going to stand above. And then someone may say, but that's not fair. Someone may say, that's not fair. But he's the creator, right? And we are the created. He dictates. We don't dictate. He dictates, right? Hallelujah. Moving on. Let me see. let me move on to Isaiah. Let's look at the book of Isaiah, 40th chapter. 15 more minutes and we're going to conclude. Go to the book of Isaiah, 40th chapter. The book of Isaiah, the 40th chapter. So far we understand that the Most High, He created all the human race through one blood. That one blood that He created the human race from was who? Adam. So if you didn't come through Adam, you're not a human. And if you're not a human, then you're an alien. Or maybe you're an animal. You understand? You know, and at one time, the whole human race, we was one. We was uno. That's Spanish for one. You know what I'm saying? We was one united people, right? But the whole human race, when they was united, they wanted to glorify themselves. It's just like whenever I'm in discussions with some black community brothers and sisters, and we don't all believe in the same Elohim, they be like, well, let's just put the religion aside. Let's just put religion aside. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have a problem with putting religion aside, but what I do is not religion. Because the Bible, when it's taught right, is not a religious book. It's a book of salvation. So some people want us to unite by excluding any talk about the Bible, any talk about the Creator. Now I understand to a certain degree why they talk like that, because, religion has divided Israelites. Like people. We have Baptists and Pentecostals, Methodists and things of that nature. Those are all religious terminologies that derive from the Catholic Church and the Protestant Reformation. But none of that derived from the scriptures when it's rightly taught. You understand? And that's why most Baptists, Catholics, Methodists, they meet on Sunday because they're following after their mother, the Catholic Church, which generally meets on what day? Sunday. Right? And it's documented in some of their writings that they changed the day of worship from Saturday, which is the Sabbath, to Sunday. You hear me? And remember, tradition is stronger than truth. tradition is stronger than truth. And Hamashiach says, let me give you an example of tradition. Me and a brother, we went and passed out some cards in an apartment complex. And most of those people, you know, when they hear church, it's mainly Sunday background. None of them really think to actually read their Bibles or to study their Bible. As a matter of fact, a lot of people ain't going to even come to this ministry because we read too many what? What'd you say, brother? We read too many scriptures, and it's boring.
Scriptures are boring only to some people. Those who don't believe in the truth and don't have a life.
Now, because there's not a lot of sensationalism like you will get in a lot of mega churches.
Stand.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, sensationalism can be equal to sin. You understand? And then, you know, we're living in a culture, we're living in a generation where
Sin is the thing.
a lot of people don't like to read. You understand? So, people will go to the Sunday church, well, my grandpa went there, my mama went there, my aunties go there, my friends go there. All I know is Baptist, brother. I was raised that way. But you never thought to read the scriptures for yourself. That's what I mean when I say tradition is strong. And then when you do hear the truth, you're like, well, this is the truth. But all my people and friends are here in the tradition. And if I go to the truth, I'll look like a coat. You understand? And if you don't have no strong self-esteem about yourself, you're going to say, the hell with the truth. I'm going to stick with the tradition. And that's what I mean when I say tradition is stronger than the truth. Because a lot of people have a lot of problems in breaking from their traditions. You understand? And Yahushua, who the world called Jesus, what did he say? By your tradition, you make the word of Yah of no effect. It's tradition to go to church on Sunday. It's tradition to tell people that good Jesus was raised on Sunday morning. That's tradition. It's tradition to keep Christmas. It's tradition to keep Easter. Those are traditions. But listen, you will not find nowhere in your Bible where it says keep Christmas, where it says keep Easter. You will not find that nowhere in the scriptures. You ain't going to find that.
I'll wait.
So, our forefathers began to keep Torah like a tradition. And that's when the Most High said, well, look, bring me no more of your vain worship. You understand? But I'm keeping the high Shabbats. The Most High said, no, you don't, no. Bring me no more. Right? I don't want no more of your solemn feasts. You understand? Because all that has become tradition. Hallelujah. So Isaiah 40th chapter says, I'm about to conclude. I'm going to do part 2 next Shabbat. Yeah, willing. Isaiah 40th chapter, the 15th verse reads, Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. So what did the Most High just say about the nations? He said they are as a drop of a bucket. And they are counted as small dust of the balance. All right, Isaiah 17 verse says, all nations before him are as nothing. They are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. Why is he saying this? Through the prophet Isaiah. A nation is counted as nothing and as vanity when they worship him in vain. When they are trying to make a name for themselves. When they're trying to glorify themselves as a nation instead of them glorifying the one who created them. Y'all see that? The 21st through the 23rd verse. Have ye not known? Question. Have ye not heard? Question. Had it not been told you from the beginning? Question. Have ye not understood from the foundations of the earth? Question. 22nd verse. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers. That sitteth, no, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spread them out as a tent to dwell in. The 23rd verse. That brings the princes to nothing. He maketh the judges of the earth as what? Vanity. Now, there is a lot of uproar among the nations of the earth right now. Especially, due to this election period here in America. But I'm going to pick it up next Shabbat, Yah willing. So we can conclude from this Shabbat lesson so far that the nations, all nations come from Adam, from one blood. And that the Most High, he created all nations by dividing them according to their languages and not according to skin pigmentation. Okay? And we can also, through the process of elimination, see that there is no equality, that the Most High did not make equality among the nations, did he? He did not make equality among the nations. Through the process of elimination, he made Jacob, or Israel, to be above the other nations. To be above the other nations for what, though? Just to say that we are above the rest? No. Let's get one more verse and we're going to pick it up next Shabbat. We're not long today. Every human being in the earth today is a part of a nation. We're about to conclude. Let me see this last verse. Exodus 19 and 6. Okay, it says, I'm going to start from the top. Exodus 19th chapter, the first through the 6th verse. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. Right? So when the Most High brought our forefathers out of Egypt, he told Moses to bring them to Mount Sinai. Right? Drop down to the 3rd verse. And Moshe, or Moses, went up unto Elohim, and the Most High called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel. So who is he talking to? The whole world? Who are the people he was talking to at Mount Sinai? He was talking to Israel, the children of Israel. 4th verse. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, 5th verse, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my what? Covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is what? Mine. All the nations is his, right? So he has the right to exalt one nation above the other nations. Well, that don't sound fair, some may say. But the Most High said, look, I can do what pleases me because I created everything. You can't judge the Most High for what he does. But he has the right to judge us for what we do. 6th verse. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of what? Priests. What does a priest do? Teach people what? Righteousness. And in holy nation, the word holy means to be separate. Meaning you are to be holy. Meaning I brought you out of Egypt to be holy, not to be like the nation that you came from. I brought you out of Egypt, not so that you can continue to perpetuate that Egyptian mentality, but so that now you can be holy. So he brought He exalts Israelites, Israel above the other nations to be a kingdom of priests. That means that we should be teaching the other nations how to be what? Righteous. Right? We should be teaching the other nations on how to be righteous. That's why he called us out. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Is Almighty Yah. And clap praise. In the conclusion of the matter, the writing of many books, there is no end. Much study is wisdom to the mind. That's probably why a lot of people don't like to study. Fear Yah, keep the commandments. Take the time, take the